Hi, today we're going to look at solving systems of equations, and we're going to do this by graphing. So basically, a system of equations is just two lines on a graph, and we're trying to find where they touch each other. So let's make sure that we can graph these two lines. The first line, we always start at the y-intercept on the y-axis. We're going to start at 4. And then this -5/3 is your rise over run for your slope. So since it's -5, we're going to, instead of rising, we're going to go down 5 and then right 3. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 1, 2, 3, and connect the dots. The next one, we start at -4 on the y-axis again. Notice there's not a number in front of the x, so that is considered to be a 1. And since we're doing rise over run, we really need it to be a fraction. So let's make it 1/1. So now our rise over run for this one is 1/1. So we're going to start back down here at our starting point at -1 and go rise 1, run 1, rise 1, run 1, and continue doing that until you run out of room. Connect the points. And notice this is where the lines touch. That answer would be 3, -1. And sometimes they'll even ask you to add these two numbers together, or what's the difference between them. So this is your x, this is your y. Do whatever operation they ask you to if that's part of the problem. So another one here, I want to add this one because it has a special kind of line. This is a y equals -1. And anytime you see y equals just a number without an x, that's a horizontal line. I remember horizontal because I feel like the y looks like an upside down H. So I go to the y-axis, put a point at -1, and then I just draw a horizontal line through that one. My other line starts at 4. My rise over run is up 5 and right 3. I cannot go up 5 and right 3, so I'm going to do the opposite. And I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 3. 1, 2, 3. Connect the points. This is my answer. The point -3, -1. Again, y equals a number is a horizontal line. Number 3, this one is special. And if you notice, we have this number and this number are the same. These are your slopes. So our slopes are equal to each other. So let's see what happens. Our y-intercepts are not. So our first y-intercept is a +2. Our rise over run is up 1 and over 4 to the right. Up 1, right 1, 2, 3, 4. I can also go in the negative direction that same way just to keep the line going. And I can go down and left 4 to extend the line all the way out. This one's the same way, except you're crossing at +4 and go up 1, right 4, or down 1, left 4. We notice we have special kind of lines. These are obviously parallel lines. This happens when your slopes are equal, and therefore these will never touch. So your answer would be no solution. Their slopes were equal to each other, so they never touch. They're parallel. Finally, we have another special kind of line. Just like the H, the horizontal was y equals a number. This is a vertical line, and it's x equals a number. I remember this because I feel like the x has two v's hooked together, a v on top and a v on the bottom, upside down. So I go to the x-axis and put a point at -2, and then simply draw a vertical line through it. Remember the hints with the v's and the h's and the x's and the y's. Then we have here our starting point is +2 on the y-axis. And I don't have a number in front of the x again, so I'm going to make it, notice it's a -1, and then put a +1. That means I'm going to go down and then right, down and then right, down and 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 right. I can continue the opposite direction, up and left, up and left, up and left. I know that this line should be going downhill because my slope is negative. So that tells me that that's a downhill line. Now here's my answer where they cross, -2, +4. Be careful. Make sure you go back and start every time on a y-intercept and make sure your slopes are always in fraction form. If you do not have a denominator, make it a 1. And remember, if you're going down and right, you can go the opposite, up and left, in order to create the line. Hope this helps with graphing lines and finding solutions to your systems of equations.